Tonight, we continue to cover the fallout from the January 6 hearings in which they referred 4 criminal charges against former President Donald Trump. Joining us right now to discuss, GOP strategist Ford O'Connell, former NYC commissioner in the Giuliani and Bloomberg administrations, Brian Anderson, and the host of Money Talk with Melanie, Melanie Collette. Melanie, your thoughts as we've seen today unfold.
You know, I just wrote an op-ed on how this was a complete waste of taxpayer money, time, and resources, and I stand by that based on the so-called charges that they brought against President Trump today. It's ridiculous, never going to happen, and it's a political hit job. Let's just be honest. The whole point is to try to get him to not be able to run for election once again. They're just that afraid of 45.
Yeah, Brian, we knew where this was going from the very beginning, right?
We did. It was a Stalinist show trial, you know, no witnesses. I mean, we've had 2 impeachments, right? So haven't we been over this several times and they couldn't do anything about it? It was absurd to watch, and Melanie was spot on. It was a waste of taxpayers' dollars, and this can't go away fast enough.
Ford, what is your thought when you see this?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more verbose than the other 2. This was a partisan assault on the very democracy this committee purports to protect. They have no power to make criminal legal referrals to the DOJ, and this committee was never designed to get at the truth of what happened on January 6th. It was only designed to prevent Donald Trump from running in 2024. It is unconstitutional, it's sickening, and it's sad to see most of the media go along with this cynical farce.
Yeah, I mean, this is what gets me, is we knew this is what they were going to conclude, yet it seems, Melanie, that they were having a hard time going to the insurrection. Like, people attacked the Capitol. There's no question that happened. Why they were there, the stories differ. The involvement of the people, communications here and there. All of that is up for discussion, but the idea that the former president was behind it and drove it and committed insurrection, it seems like that's definitely where they wanted to go, but they were having a hard time actually connecting those dots.
That's certainly where they wanted to go, and they simply did not have the goods for that. And how are you going to say that this was a completely objective conversation, an objective trial, when you didn't speak to the main player? They never spoke to President Trump, which we knew he wasn't going to testify. They didn't speak to Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, anybody else, and they had no defense whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a lawyer like Ford, but I have common sense. There's nothing objective about this trial. Like I said earlier, it's an absolute hit piece and completely politically motivated. And it's a shame because it's such a huge waste of money, time, and resources. We need to get a committee on, you know, the extreme minority crime rate in the United States. Let's get a committee on how to seal up our border that's completely wide open. We need other committees, not this farce of a J6 committee.
Yeah, and Ford, just to remind people what the former president they're alleging. Number 1, obstruction of official proceedings, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement, and inciting, aiding, or assisting an insurrection. Now, you're the lawyer on this panel. What are your thoughts when you see these?
Well, if the Democrats had the goods on President Trump, they wouldn't have engaged in the ridiculous Mar-a-Lago raid. I think you saw this with Matt Whitaker, who was on earlier, who made the point in the prosecution of the Proud Boys that essentially you can't charge a president with insurrection, which is ridiculous to begin with, because they realized that the Proud Boys would have gone on and done this anyway, regardless of what President Trump said or done. The whole thing, again, is designed to make President Trump look bad. And unfortunately, what it does is honestly make the Democrats look bad. And they were hoping that they could say the same evidence over and over and hope that they pressured Merrick Garland into following through with what it is they're alleging. But if Merrick Garland does that, it's only going to make President Trump stronger.
And Brian, what effect do you think all of this has on the average person?
Part of this as well. You know, it's just anti-Trump every day, every day, every day. And Liz Cheney made it clear that her intention was to prevent him from ever being president again. She said it right there. They should have been just dismissed immediately for her statements. And we still don't really know what happened January 6th. Only one person died that day, right? An unarmed woman shot by a cop. Yet, where are those questions?
And Melanie, another thing that strikes me is how produced this was for TV. You could tell it was produced for TV.
When you have a trial that's produced for TV, it just sounds like a show trial. It's really weird. It just sounds like that's what they're trying to do, you need to try to make yourself look better by calling in the professionals. Then maybe it's a show trial. You might have a show trial there. Just saying.
If it looks like a show trial, smells like a show trial, as the former president called it, a kangaroo court, maybe it went that far. But Ford O'Connell, Brian Anderson, Melanie Collette, thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.